We are going to go ahead and get started here, so if I can have the candidates come on up and take their seats, that would be...
Give me hell, Doug. Madam Council.
Hi everyone, my name is Debbie Van Cleve. I'm the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and on behalf of the Chamber, I would like to welcome you all to the 2018 Meet the Candidate. Tonight is the opportunity for the citizens of Lincoln Park to meet and learn more about the candidates for elected office in the city. I would like to thank our candidates for taking the time to be here this evening on such short notice, as well as Don Belinsky from LPTV for filming the event, and all of you here watching tonight. So right now I'm going to turn it over to Nick, the Executive Director of the Chamber, and he'll tell you the format and how it's going to go.
Get the audio to work.
Isn't it working?
Nick, turn the volume up, we're saying too.
Okay, no?
You gotta pull it up closer.
Okay, so, thank you guys very much for being here. My name is Nick, and I am the new Executive Director for the Lincoln Park Chamber of Commerce. So the format for this evening is going to be pretty straightforward. Candidates will have 5 minutes each to speak. The speaking order will be as follows. Candidates are going to be grouped based on the office that they're running for and speak in the order laid out on the sheet in front of each of you. So basically, when the person in front of you is done speaking, just be prepared and make your way on up to the microphone once they've taken their seat. So, without further delay, I would like to go ahead and hand it off. Oh, and forgive me, sorry, when we're concluded here, we'll break things up and we're going to do just kind of an informal meet and greet with the candidates.
Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Absolutely.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hand this off to Kathy Carter. Thank you guys very much.
Good evening, and thank you to the Chamber for inviting me tonight. Just a little bit about myself. I probably won't go to 5 minutes. A lot of people in this room already know me, so it's like, why bother? I have lived in Lincoln Park all but 2 years of my life, and that was before I was 3 years old. So I am a Lincoln Parker through and through. I went through Lincoln Park schools. My husband did, my father-in-law did, and both of my boys did. So I am a rail splitter. I've always been involved in the schools. My mom was involved. I took over being involved when my boys were in school. I have two boys, I shouldn't say boys, they're young men. So I've always been active, and I substitute taught in the district most of the time from 1975 until, I've been on the board 8 years, until about 8 years ago. So I've seen all the buildings, I've met a lot of people, worked with a lot of parents. I saw the downfalls sometimes of the district. I asked to be appointed to the board when Mr. O'Brien had to retire. I wanted to change the image of the school board. The image was not a good one. It wasn't that they were making bad decisions, but they just came off very unpleasant. And I wanted to see that change because I know they were making hard decisions. And I think we've accomplished that. Anybody that has seen any of our buildings knows that we have outwardly started to make changes. We've made change academically. We got a superintendent who is technically our only employee. I think we got a pretty good one. He doesn't stop. He's constantly going, constantly planning things out. And I'd like to continue that progress. That's why I'm running again. I had the option not to run this time, but I wanted to. I wanted to keep the work going that we were doing and help to improve the image of Lincoln Park. Like I said, I was a rail splitter for a very long time, and I know that we've always had not such a great reputation, but I think it's getting better. We've had people come to us now and say, what are you doing? You know, the resilience program where we're working with kids in trauma at home. Those are things that our superintendent has brought to us as a board. We have debated those things back and forth. We don't take our decisions lightly. We do all of our homework ahead of time before we do that vote. So I would like to continue the progress to see our academics keep growing. Our buildings are looking better and better. I just would like to keep that progress going. That's why I would like to run or to be elected again to that position. I enjoy what I do. I love the kids. I love the faculty. We are doing good things together. The parents are working hard at getting things done with their children, and I would like to keep that going. Thank you. I thought I was talking about.
Can you guys hear me?
Use your mom voice.
Use my mom voice. Good evening, Lincoln Parkers. I'd like to thank you for coming, and I would like to thank the Chamber for inviting us for the candidate night. And I also believe that the Chamber is going to be 70 years old next week, I think it is, either this week or next week, and I'd like to wish them a happy birthday. Okay, get down to business. I was not a Lincoln Parker until 1969. My husband and I bought a home here. And we've lived here ever since then, so I count myself as a rail splitter. My 3 children went to the Lincoln Park Public Schools. They're all doing very well. I have 5 grandchildren. 2 are in the Lincoln Park Public Schools, 3 live out of state. I've been active with the school district since my oldest son went to kindergarten, which is in 1975, PTA member. I've been on various committees with the district. I was elected onto the school board in 2000. So I've been on the board for 18 years. In 2003, I was voted by the board to be the board treasurer. I held that position until this year when I became president of the school board. And there's not much I can add to what Kathy already said, because that's what I was going to say, was the improvements that we've made. You've all seen the improvements that we've made with our buildings and our grounds. Curriculum is a no-brainer. That's what we're here, that's our business, is to educate our students. Our administration's always working on ways to improve on that, and our scores are going up. We've worked on daily attendance, which has vastly improved. Our enrollment has been steady for the last few years, and I'd like to keep that going that way. We do have some programs that she went on about, PBS, Blueprint, resilient programs, and these programs are not only for the academic structure, but socially as well. One of our great programs that she didn't touch on was our dual enrollment college program. In the 8th grade, our students are invited to apply for Wayne County Community College. If they're accepted, they go into the 9th grade with college courses. 9th and 10th graders stay at the high school. We have college professors that come over to the high school to teach those students. Our 11th and 12th graders we transport to the college. That is a 5-year program, but the 5th year they're doing an online course. And when they're done with that, they get the high school diploma plus an associate's degree, which is nothing. The parents pay nothing. So that is one of our best programs. We've been working on security. All our doors are locked. You have to be buzzed in to get in. Our secretaries have closed circuit TV that they can see who's out there. Our staff is fingerprinted and a background check. Now that's the state law. But we also, our volunteers have to fill out a volunteer form, and we do a background check on them before they can become volunteers. We are constantly improving on our aspects, and if a situation comes up, we deal with it as soon as we can. One of the things I would like to see better is peer involvement and better involvement with the businesses. Kathy and I each of us are one of 7 board members. Each of us have our own ideas, our opinions on a resolution. But once the resolution has been voted on, whether passed or failed, we are then a board of 1, where you support the decision 100%. I would like everyone to remember to go out and vote on November 6th, whether you vote at the polls or absentee ballot. Obviously, I would like your vote.
But either way, please go out and vote. Lastly, I would like to thank the Chamber for putting this evening on, and thank all of you for coming.
Kevin, she moved the microphone down for me. Just want to take a second to introduce myself to those of you who may not know me. My name is Kara Kara, and I am running for city clerk. I've been a Lincoln Park resident for about 36 years now. Been married to my husband Tom for 34. We had 2 children. Both of them attended Lincoln Park Public Schools, graduated, moved on to jobs and wives, husbands, kids. My daughter actually still works for the Lincoln Park Public School System. She's been a teacher for over 15 years with them. I was lucky enough to be a stay-at-home mom while they were little. Doesn't mean I didn't work. They kept me super busy. We did Little League, and I was involved in the Lincoln Park High School Athletic Club. Used to do the concessions for football games. I was a busy beaver back then. Didn't sit still very much. My daughter was an extremely involved student and kept me right next to her. So once she graduated from high school, I went out and got a job. I went to work for the city of Lincoln Park in 1997. Started working in the building department, worked there for a few years, and then moved over to the city clerk's office where I worked with Donna Breeding for the last 13 years. She's taught me an awful lot. I've learned a lot of stuff. I never knew how much the city clerk's office does. But during my time with her, we've done birth and death certificates, dog licenses, business registrations, and of course elections. A little bit, small part of our job is the elections. That's a lie. That's a big part. That's a big part. I've helped test the election equipment, set up the test decks to do that, processed absentee ballots, you name it, I've done it in the office. I believe I have a lot of experience. I believe I can do the job. And I think that this is an office where the experience counts. I think it's one of those offices that really needs someone who has been in there in order to make sure that it works and it works properly. Again, I'm not going to take up a whole lot of your time here. I do have some experience at the job. I'm hoping that you guys all recognize that and that I can count on your votes in November. November 6th is the election. Anybody that needs an absentee ballot certainly is, come to the clerk's office, help you out. The deputy clerk that's in there now, Jessica, knows what she's doing. She'll get it done. Again, I want to thank the Chamber for putting this on. I appreciate all the effort Nick's put into this. I know we worked real hard. So, thank you.
I'm Frank Vaslow, and I'm also a candidate for the city clerk's office. Can you guys hear me out there? Everything okay over there? Donna, you got it?
Yeah,
got it going on there? All right. Listen, I can thank the chamber also. Nice work on pulling this together. Nick, you did a nice job. Thanks for reaching out. The city a week or last week, they recorded 5-minute public service videos that are going to begin to run on the public station. I think that says a lot about everybody. You're going to see a lot of how everybody offers themselves up to the public. I think that's important because not only are you going to be representing your office, but you're going to be representing the city. I know this because, as a former mayor, when you go around, it's important that you represent the city in a business-like fashion and that you always got your good face on. People ask me why I'm running for the city clerk's job, and I'll tell you why. Democracy demands choices. Democracy demands choices. And you always gotta have a choice. and I'm here offering you a choice. Ms. Kerr, there's no doubt about it, after 20 years of being a city employee, and by all accounts, she has been a good employee, knows the work. But I'll tell you here, I'll tell you now, that we can learn, anybody can learn the job. As the mayor, I know budgeting, I know operations, know a little bit about what the clerk did. And again, after this election, which I agree, there's nothing more important that the clerk does than put on an election. That after this election, we don't have an election to 2020. Plenty of time to train staff, plenty of time to train people. So, what am I offering different? I'm offering some reforms to the office. What I say is that other cities have part-time clerks. They do the job for about $6,000 a year. We're paying 10 times that amount here in Lincoln Park. I think that if we look at how we run things operationally, we can do things similar to that, save a few dollars, transfer that money into operations, and maybe get a few more things done around the city. Because, man, all you gotta do is walk through the neighborhoods, and you know, the biggest complaints are, when are you gonna fix the roads? When are you gonna fix the potholes? You know, we need more police officers. I agree with all those things. What we need to do is, once again, tighten up the ship. And nobody wants the emergency manager back. So what I'm offering is just a different look at how we operate. With that, I want to take a minute to thank Ms. Johnson and Ms. Carter here. I do have children that attended the Lincoln Park schools. All three of them graduated. All three of them went to university on scholarship, and they were all Lincoln Park kids. The Lincoln Park schools are a shining star here. We should be, you know, holding them up as a reason to come to Lincoln Park. And these two ladies had a lot to do with that. I think that's going to be it. I'll be in the back here for a little while to take any questions, but you know, I know most of the people here. And that's that. Thank you very much for having me. I'm going to start a little thing here. Mr. Larry Kelsey, why don't you come on up and you can introduce the next person. Yeah, very good. Larry Kelsey, he's going to start the candidates for council. Very good. Thank you.
Good evening. Glad to see the people that turned out to look at. I'll make this work, I think. Yeah, that's what it is. That's as good as it can. Everybody can hear me anyway, so my wife always tells me I talk too loudly anyway, so I guess we'll find out.
And too much.
And too much. I'd like to thank, I guess, everybody for coming out, because I think it's very nice to show that some of the citizens are very happy about coming out anyways to listen to the candidates. And the other ones will see it on the video that is going to be produced and sent out through the city channel. Thank you, Nick, and the chamber for putting this on. We used to have one of this when I first started 5 years ago, and then it kind of went on by the wayside. We used to have the library put it on, and then of course the chamber put it on. So it's nice to see this opportunity again for the candidates to come up and explain their positions or their resumes to those citizens. I've been on council for 5 years now. During my time on council, the city has gone through the emergency manager process. We went through some tough times with the state. The state had control over us. We were dictated by the state how to do our finances because we were having problems with doing our finances. We got out from underneath the control with the help of the council and the citizens, and we've been doing pretty good since then. We had a 5-year budget that we adopted to be a little bit more progressive, thank you, with the issue of at least knowing what our obligations are going to be, not every year, but every 5 years. Before, the council used to have a yearly budget, or the city used to. Now we have a 5-year budget. I was appointed when I first got elected underneath the emergency manager to the Department of Public Services, which was having some problems back then. I've also been appointed as liaison to the Police and Fire Retirement Commission and also the Planning Commission. This gives me an opportunity as a councilman not only to attend the bi-monthly council meetings, but also to attend other commission hearings that are held in the city to find out what's going on and to get a little bit more perspective when I turn around and come back to the council. And also give the council a little overview of what goes on at these commission hearings. We have a lot of, I guess, major issues in the city that we're addressing. It's been alluded to by some of the candidates. We have the roads issue, which everybody does. We've been working on those. We have the sewer infrastructure, which, you know, we have a problem with that. We're making progress to that through grants from the federal government and the state. We've improved that. We also have the issue of our pensions, and that was long before I became on board, that we've had an issue with trying to fund the pensions because of the deficit we had over the years of putting into both the police and fire pension and also to the public employees pension. We have tried to we have passed actually a bond issue, but our credit rating's not large enough, or excuse me, not better enough to give us the ability to borrow money to take care of our roads, which would help resolve some of the issues we have. The streets, I've driven the streets, I've driven with some of the council people, Councilman Parkinson here, me and him go out a lot. And we've seen the condition of the streets and the blight in the city, and we've made those recommendations to the city and held discussions with them and the departments. The building department is another issue that we have talked about on council. A lot of us have put in our what we would like to see done this year, and one of our issues was the building department. Myself and Councilman Parkinson are working on that along with the rest of the council. Make no mistake, it's not one person on council that makes things happen. If you watch the council meetings and you look at what happens, you have to have a support of your fellow council people to make sure things are done in this city. And you get that by the fact that they respect you, or at least they have the ability to question what you're doing so they know what's going on and they can vote and have confidence in how they vote one way or the other. The city manager has been a real plus to the city that we have, Matt Conmmerce. He's done a lot to bring a lot of stability to this city when he came for his experience and his work ethic. I can't say enough about that. That's been a very positive effort for the city when we hired that gentleman. He's done a lot, and most of you, if you get around to some of the functions like I do, you'll see Matt at most of those functions. He tries to keep himself involved in what's going on with the city, other than the city manager job. In closing, I guess I'd say that if you like what's going on with the city, and we're getting there, we're not going to change things overnight, then I would ask for your vote to be re-elected to this position that I've held. I think that the council itself has done a good job. I think the people, whoever are elected, will continue to do a good job. And I think that, again, we don't do it without the cooperation of all the people on council and all the departments. Because these are jobs that interact with everybody. The council interacts with every department, and every department comes to the council for their budget request and to make sure their budgets are authorized. And in closing, I'd like to say that I hope that we get a good turnout this year. The election is very important this year. There's a lot of races that are going on. There's a lot of changes that are going to be done in the city as well as the state. So I hope whether you vote by absentee or you vote in the person, that you get out and vote this year on November the 6th. Exercise your vote. It doesn't make any difference which way you vote, but vote and make the vote count so that you can turn around and you know what you've done as far as making sure that the person that you voted for, you kind of follow their progress or their proposal. Thank you. Sorry. Mike Higgins. Councilman Higgins, excuse me.
Hello, and I too would like to thank the Chamber for inviting us tonight, and I think it's very important that the citizens have a chance to talk to people who are running for office and find out what we really are about, what we really want. My name is Michael Higgins. I'm a third generation Lincoln Parker. I remember what Lincoln Park was 50 years ago. We want to get back to that. biggest problems in Lincoln Park, if you ask anybody, it's the roads, then we have a problem with blight, and of course, we don't have enough finances to throw into everything. In my opinion, the answer is very simple, and it's up and down 4th Street, up and down Dix, and up and down Southfield. All those empty buildings. We must work very hard to bring in new businesses so that the tax rate will take care of itself. There'll be more funds for the city, and then we can start to address some of these issues. I must say that I'm very proud of the work that I've done and we've done as a whole as a council in the last 2 years. We have brought the city out of receivership, but that must be only a first step. We must work on bringing the city back to what it once was. There are a lot of buildings in town that frankly are not in good shape, and the city must be more strict to get these buildings back into shape so that these businesses are willing to move into them. We must also take more time and take care of our own properties, our parks, and our other facilities. We ask our citizens to keep everything up to code. We ask you to keep our grass cut. The city should be doing the same exact thing. There should be no difference. I also like to tell you, and I know I'm kind of jumping back and forth, but a little bit about my experience. As I said, this was my 3rd term on the council. I've also served on 3 different commissions. It is very, very important that the city council stays in contact with our commissions and also get our commissions to interact with each other. I've been at a couple commission meetings recently where we didn't have enough members, and that this is something we must make sure that our commissioners show up at our meetings, and we must make sure that we have enough commissioners to fill those commissions. Anybody looking for a volunteer job once a month? Please step forward. We need people. We cannot fix the city alone. We need everybody behind us. And with that, I'll say thank you and invite up the next person.
I'm moving a little slow here. I'd like to thank the Chamber also for putting this on. You always do a good job. I'm Councilman Tom Parkinson. I have to go with Larry. The city's coming along and the council's got to work together to make it go that way. For 20 years, I've watched the city go downhill, and it's slowly coming back up. So, I mean, don't expect it to come back to life in 2 years. It didn't. In 20 years, it went so bad that it was ridiculous. We had we had poor management, we had bad politics. City managers, the first 4 city managers, there was one of them was almost criminal. Well, you got to learn how to run the city properly and do the better things for the city. And Larry said we did a drive through the city. We drove down every street in this town. There's problems on just about most of them. And the city cannot function properly without the proper people, manpower. Every department has been choked down so bad that the manpower is just, it's a shame. We're trying to rebuild the city, we're trying to hire more people. So I think that's heading in the right direction. We are getting some more people in. And that's short and sweet. I guess that's about all I got to say. If you have any questions, I'll be around for a while. Thank you.
My name is Donna Breeding. I wanted to thank the Chamber for inviting us to this event tonight. Very strange to be in front of the microphone. Normally I'm the one that's off on the side whispering, passing notes to the mayor or other council members. I've been the city clerk for the last 26 years, and I was a deputy clerk for 10 years. I was a meter maid for 10 years. I've lived here all of my life. Own a home that used to be down from let me start. Anyway, I've had, this is the second home that I've been in Lincoln Park. I can't imagine living anyplace else. And I love the city of Lincoln Park, and that's why I decided to run for council, once I had decided not to run for city clerk again. So my intentions on running for council is because I am old, and because I know how the city works, and I know how it worked before, and I know how we got to this place. And one of my main concerns is the neighborhoods. It's unbelievable to drive down the streets and see junk cars parked in the backyards, and boats and trailers and everything else, and tall grass. And there's no reason for that. When I was a meter maid, I used to have to issue tickets to all of those vehicles. And I, went up and down every single street in the city of Lincoln Park. And the main thing that they can do, I mean, there's no reason why our city has become this slum place. The main thing is that everyone needs to keep their eyes open. And you need to actually have the police officers. The police officers are on the streets driving up and down every day. I don't expect them to get out and write parking tickets, but they could hang warnings on the vehicles. They could turn in those complaints to the police department. We have 3 environmental officers who could be actually going up and down the streets, picking out all of these neighborhoods that need to be cleaned up. There's no reason why Lincoln Park is not the beautiful bedroom community that it always was. Been here all of my life. I had neighbors that you could not walk on their grass or they would have a heart attack. And now you'll be lucky to actually have neighbors that you don't have to tread through the grass to get to their house. And that's my main concern with the city. I have 2 children, and both of them went to Lincoln Park schools. I have 4 grandkids, and they began in the Lincoln Park schools. They've all moved out, of course. They're a lot older. As I said, I'm a lot older now. So, but that is the reason that I'm running for council. I just could not believe that I would, after I decided I was not going to run for clerk again, just walk away from the city. I can't walk away from the city. This is my city. I love the city. I was very proud of the fact that I was able to, being a single mother for many, many years, able to purchase 2 homes and keep them up. I'm proud of Lincoln Park as far as how we've come along and what has gotten better through the years, but the neighborhoods are bad and there's no reason for it. I mean, we have an awful lot of rental properties and there's nothing wrong with someone that wants to rent a home, but those landlords should have to take care of those properties. So that's my main concern. And I have to also say, just because I speak my mind, and that's probably been one of my problems throughout the years, but now I have to watch what I say. Yes, I do too. I have to watch. The city clerk's office, the city clerk, is a full-time position. It's not just a title. It's someone who comes to work every single day, who works 17 and 18 hours on election day, who actually sits behind the desk and works. And that's what we need in a city clerk. So keep that in mind. It's by charter. It's not by choice that it's a full-time position. It is a job. It's a full-time department head. They have to do their own budgets. They have to do their own training. It is a job of its own, off on its own. It's not just some position that you can come in and sit and shake hands with people and walk around. So keep that in mind when you're voting on election day. Goodbye. Oh, I didn't introduce who's next. Lillian Ross.
I can't see some of you because of the light here, but I do see new faces, so I'm Lillian Ross. And I am currently on the city council, in case you didn't know. I want to keep it short. There's some things that I want to repeat, because you'll hear these on the video, but I think it's worth repeating. I've been I've been living in Lincoln Park for 22 years. And I am a wife and mother. My sons and my husband are here. I just want to tell you too that it's been a pleasure, or that it is a pleasure to represent you as your council person. Being on council it isn't just a job, it's service, and it comes from the heart. One of the big things that I focus on is residents' concerns. So you can call me, you can email me, stop me at the grocery store. That I know that from previous experience, from my own experience, that sometimes we get frustrated and we tend to give up. And I think that's what caused me to run in the first place, to be that person that's not going to give up. I'm going to fight until we can have answers and solutions. And again, just to repeat what the other council members have said, it takes all of us. All of us are the ingredients of Lincoln Park, whether we're employees, residents, volunteers, officials. It takes all of us. So I'm asking you to participate, to come to events, to find volunteer opportunities, and let's move Lincoln Park forward. I think that's pretty much it.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. And thank the Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for putting this on tonight. I appreciate it. It's very humbling for me to be here today, speaking at the band shell. I was raised right down the street on the 3000 block of Wilson back in 1960. As a youth, I spent a lot of time at Memorial Park, climbing on the cannon over here behind the band shell, and visiting Santa Claus right here at Fantasyland. I graduated Lincoln Park in 1979. I'm a rail splitter, as I've been hearing that mentioned earlier today. I've been married to my wife, Marcia, for almost 26 years. I have a daughter, 23, Allison, just graduated Wayne State about 2 months ago. I have a son, he's a senior at Central Michigan University. He's doing well also. And I'm running for city council because I believe I can make a difference. I can be a positive figure for the residents of Lincoln Park and address residents' concerns as they ask me. Because in the last 9 months campaigning, I can't tell you how many times I hear minor complaints. And I'm thinking, well, go to a city council meeting. So I look forward to helping our residents in that accord. So my hopes for the future of Lincoln Park is that as a city, we can reduce the amount of empty homes and vacant buildings, particularly at our 2 shopping centers. I look forward to meeting and talking to those that would like to talk to me that are in attendance today. And as a 50-year resident of Lincoln Park, like some council people and members have said, I've seen good times and bad times in this city, and I know as a city we're moving forward currently, and I want to see Lincoln Park succeed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tom. By the way, I'm Carlos Salcido.
Everybody hear me?
Yep.
How's everybody doing tonight? My name is Sean Stansberry and I'm running for City Council. First, I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce, Nick and Debbie, for putting this together and everybody involved in the City of Lincoln. Second, I would like to thank everyone that took the time to come out and see all of us here. Getting involved in the community is the only way to make a difference. Your vote and your voice is important not to waste. Keep in mind the council works for you, the residents. This is a job interview today. I'm asking for your vote. Together we can solve problems we face. I'm a 30-year resident of Downriver, graduated from Riverview High School. I attended vocational school after graduating where I learned auto mechanics and auto body. I decided 4 years ago to make Lincoln Park my home, and I'm very happy with that decision. I'm running for office to make a difference in Lincoln Park for everyone. That's everyone, not just a couple people. Running is an obligation to serve you, the people, everybody. We need to elect candidates that have your best interest in mind. I'm here to help solve the issues we face in the city. I realize the pressing problems and concerns of the city. Tackling the hard topics is my #1 priority if you give me a chance. My hopes in the future are we attract great businesses to the vacant Sears and Farmer Jack properties to create tax revenues to help our budget. I know Councilman Higgins and some other people touched on that, but that's pretty important. These extra funds will be a great asset to help fix our failing roads. The horrible roads is the #1 thing I hear when I talk to residents out in the city. That's the #1 thing. They want to know what can we do. So I just go off and I tell the people, listen, this is what we can do, this is what we're doing, and don't expect a miracle because it's not going to happen. We've got a lot of roads that are in bad shape. Let me be clear, we need every possible solution to fix the road mess. Blight is another thing that we must start to get under control. I know Councilman Kelsey and Councilman Parkinson have been working on this and all the rest of the council. I appreciate that, and I've been guilty of a couple things myself, having some stuff in the backyard, but I'm working on it and trying to get that cleaned up. So our future is better with a clean, organized set of neighborhoods. Very concerning is the subject of our great city employees. Lincoln Park would be so successful without these people. From what I have seen, we are very lucky in every department for the effort and commitment they strive to provide us on a daily basis. I would like to personally thank you and keep up the good work. Thank you, guys. I hope we can find a way to equip the DPS, the fire, and police to have all the tools they need and equipment for the changing times. It's very important, especially the fire department with all the new equipment they're getting. I know that I was at the event that they had, and I seen Councilman Kelsey and his wife there and some other good people, and the kids had a good time, and I talked to the chief, and they've got a new truck coming, and they're going to retire an old one that's been in service for a long time, so that's a good thing. That's important. We get the fire or we get any kind of response, it's got to be quick. So keeping a tight budget and finding new revenue is something that should happen from here on out. Solving the animal shelter situation is one less thing we have to worry about since our city manager and current council have solved this recently, which I was really glad to hear because we had a problem with that. We went to Wyandotte, and we went to Taylor, and we had to do something, so we tried to reach out to other cities, and I guess we couldn't do anything, so we decided to build our own. So it's under construction right now. Keeping everything in-house makes the better advantage on every level. There are so many things we need to do for the future of this great city. Let's put our foot on the gas and never let off. Lastly, I've said I will bring conservative ideas and solutions to the council. I realize saying that some people cringe. Therefore, I would like to leave you with a quote from the late, great Barry Goldwater to set your mind at ease. To disagree, one doesn't have to be disagreeable. That's a quote. Thank you for coming, and I hope to win your support.
Good evening. My name's Eric Zor. I'm running for City Council. I've been a member since 1985. With my wife Holly, we bought a house in Lincoln Park, raised my children, 3 children in Lincoln Park schools. My daughter and son-in-law live in Lincoln Park, and one of my sons lives in Lincoln Park. My grandchildren, 3 of them right now attend the Lincoln Park schools. Two of them are, one is a 3-year-old, the other one is just born September 28th.
Congratulations.
So they're not in the school yet. So we had a small business in Lincoln Park, so I'm familiar with the small businesses in Lincoln Park. 32 years we were in business. We were Reliable Battery, corner of Southfield and Applewood. I have been reserve officer in Lincoln Park. I have worked with the Lincoln Park Court as a court officer. I have done the Community Works program, which I am currently doing, helping out doing that, where we allow people that do not have money to pay the city of Lincoln Park back into court. It offers them an opportunity to come do work for their money. It's not a lot, but we do a lot of work with what we have. And we do a very good job of trying to keep our streets clean, our parks clean. So I deeply appreciate when I look now and see parks and streets and see papers on the street. It means more to me now than it ever did. I'm a mechanic by trade, but I'm not afraid of work. I'm not afraid to volunteer. I have coached my children, my grandchildren in Lincoln Park, junior rails, Central, Lincoln Park Central baseball, and now I get to currently watch some of my grandchildren playing in the school, so I'm enjoying that very much. It's given us our weekends back a little bit. A lot of all the junior rails and everything's always a full day on Saturday. The reason that I'm running for city council is I don't have any agendas. I see the work that's being done by the current council members and the city, and I know that there's nothing that isn't being addressed. It's that you just need help doing it. And I'm a person that's a hard worker. I'm not immune to it. So I'm willing to jump in and roll up my sleeves and get to work with whoever ends up on the council and keep the city growing. And I know that a lot of people talk about blight and everything else, but I see Lincoln Park and I see it as a beautiful town, city. And I just want to keep making it better. I believe in Lincoln Park. I'm a proud junior rail, proud rail, and I'm a Lincoln Park resident. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you to everybody that put this on tonight. And I thank the people for coming. Thank you very much.
So that was everyone. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and conclude the speaking portion. We'd like everyone to stick around just for the opportunity to meet and greet with the candidates. And once again, on behalf of the Lincoln Park Chamber of Commerce, I would like to thank the candidates for being with us this evening and everyone who took time to attend. It's really important everyone that is here is giving up their time because they want to be part of making Lincoln Park a better place. I definitely appreciate everyone's help with getting this together, and again, thank you for your attendance. I wish all of our candidates good luck in the upcoming election, and everyone have a great evening.